Hey guys, thank you for coming to my channel. In this video, you'll be learning about reflexive pronouns. So what are reflexive pronouns? Both the subject and the object are the same person. The action is directed back onto the subject. They're essential to understanding the meaning of the sentence. If you take the reflexive pronoun out, the sentence no longer has its intended meaning. So what do reflexive pronouns look like? Singular, myself, yourself, himself, herself, and itself. Plural, ourselves, yourselves, and themselves. Reflexive pronouns being used in sentences. So example 1 says, I bought myself a new car. So as you can see in this sentence, myself is the reflexive pronoun, and it's also the object. It's receiving the action. I bought myself a new car. The car was bought for myself. As you can see, the subject I and the object myself, which is also the reflexive pronoun, are the same person. Example 2 says he hurt himself at work. As you can see, the subject he and the object, which is also the reflexive pronoun, are the same person. He and himself are the same person. Example 3 says they took themselves to work. As you can see, they is the subject and themselves is the object, and it's also the reflexive pronoun, and these are the same people. Side note, subject pronouns do the action while reflexive pronouns reflect the action back to the subject. In other words, reflexive pronouns are receiving the action. So for our subject pronouns, we have I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they. To be more specific, our singular subject pronouns are I, you, he, she, and it, while our plural subject pronouns are we, you, and they. And our reflexive pronouns are myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, ourselves, yourselves, and themselves. To be more specific, our singular reflexive pronouns are myself, yourself, himself, herself, and itself, while our plural reflexive pronouns are ourselves, yourselves, and themselves. So keep in mind our subject pronouns and our reflexive pronouns go hand in hand. So for every subject pronoun, there's a reflexive pronoun. So for example, if I said I hit myself, the subject pronoun I use would be I, and the reflexive pronoun I used would be myself. So to elaborate, for our subject pronoun I, we have our reflexive pronoun myself. For our subject pronoun you, we have our reflexive pronoun yourself. For our subject pronoun he, we have our reflexive pronoun himself. For our subject pronoun she, we have our reflexive pronoun herself. For our subject pronoun it, we have our reflexive pronoun itself. For our subject pronoun we have our reflexive pronoun ourselves. For our subject pronoun you, we have our reflexive pronoun yourselves. For our subject pronoun they, we have our reflexive pronoun themselves. So let's do a few more examples. Let's take he and himself, for example. Let's say he hit himself in the face. So notice how our subject pronoun is he, and the reflexive pronoun that goes with it is himself. We can't have he without himself. Next, let's take we and ourselves, for example. Let's say we drove ourselves to the mall. Notice how our subject pronoun is we and our reflexive pronoun is ourselves. We can't have we without ourselves. Now let's take you and yourselves, for example. Let's make our sentence, you guys embarrass yourselves at the event. Notice how the subject pronoun was you and the reflexive pronoun was yourselves. We can't have you without yourselves. Next, we have our examples in sentence form. So example 1 says, I hit myself. Notice how I is the subject pronoun and myself is the reflexive pronoun. Myself is receiving the action. I'm the one being hit, but I'm also the one doing the hitting. Example 2 says she cut herself on accident. Notice how she is the subject pronoun. She's the one doing the action, and herself is the reflexive pronoun. Herself is receiving the action. Example 3 says he is pinching himself. Notice how he is the subject pronoun because he is the one doing the action, and himself is the reflexive pronoun because himself is receiving the action. Himself is being pinched. The difference between reflexive pronouns and intensive pronouns is how they're used in a sentence. Reflexive pronouns reflect back on the subject and can also act as objects, while intensive pronouns add emphasis. Both end in self or selves. Intensive pronouns place emphasis on the subject of the sentence, but they're not essential to understanding the sentence. So example 1 says she took out the trash herself without asking for help. Notice how if we take out herself, the sentence still makes sense. She took out the trash without asking for help. Example 2 says I cleaned the room myself. I is the subject pronoun and myself is considered the intensive pronoun because we're placing emphasis on me cleaning the room myself. So notice how if we take out myself, the sentence still makes sense. It would say I cleaned the room. Example 3 says he solved the problem himself and didn't ask for help. He is the subject pronoun because he is doing the action, and himself is the intensive pronoun because we're placing emphasis on how he solved the problem himself and didn't ask for help. So notice how if we take out himself, the sentence still makes sense. It would say he solved the problem and didn't ask for help. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this video informative. If you did find this video informative, please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe, or all of the above, and I'll see you next time.